Right. So when we add, there's one very important thing that we've got to remember. We have to only add or subtract like terms. Now, when is something a like term? When it's got the same variable, the same unknowns. Yes. Right. So in this case, 2ab plus 1 3/4 ab will give me 3 3/4. And look at the unknown. It stays ab. Do you guys see that?
Someone means the same.
It's like saying 2 bananas plus 1 3/4 bananas will be 3 3/4 still bananas. Okay, so when we add or subtract, the variable stay the same. If that's something that you struggle with or you forget, then make a note there so you don't forget it again. Okay, right, then what was left over here? Then it was the 2/3 CD minus a half CD. Now, that part I'm going to do separate over here. I just want to quickly show you. If I just look at those fractions, it was 2/3 CD minus a half CD. So the first thing that I must do before I can subtract those, what must be the same?
Must be the
Denominators. Okay, so look at my denominators that I've got here. I've got 3 and 2. So what would I make it?
3 times 2 is
6. Okay, so that would become 4/6 CD minus 3/6 CD. There, you guys all get that part? Okay, now once denominators are the same, then I can look at the numerators. So the 4 minus the 3 gave me that 1/6. And it stays CD. Okay. Who is not with me up until there? Everyone understand? Okay, let's look at the next example. Let me just delete that. Okay, so example 2 says square root of 9/16 y to the power of 4 plus a half y to the power of 2. Now, let's first sort out the square root. How many terms do I have inside that square root? No. How do we distinguish between terms? There must be a plus or a minus. Do you see a plus or a minus in that square root? So how many terms? 1. Okay, so which means I can get square root of it. So square root of 9 will be 3, and square root of 16 will be 4. Oh, yeah, sorry. Just take that away. And square root of y to the power of 4 will become y to the power of 2. Do you guys all know how I got there?
Yes.
Wait. Okay. So does everyone understand how I got there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this little square applies to the half and to the y. Because there were brackets around that half y, it means that the square root applies to everything inside the bracket. Okay, so a half to the power of 2 will give me a quarter. And then y to the power of 2 will be y to the power of 2. Okay, so now what I want you to see is that they both have y to the power of 2, which means they are like terms. So I am allowed to go and add. So 3/4 y to the power of 2 plus 1/4 y to the power of 2 will give me 1 y to the power of 2. Or you can just say y squared. I don't add the denominators. We only add the numerators. Denominator stays the same, eh? You guys fine? 4/4 y to the power of 2 is also correct, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Wat het jy gemaak? Can I skip? Who's still copying? Right. Now, that was addition and subtraction. Now we're quickly recapping multiplication. Now when we multiply, what did we say? We first cancel out.
Do we have to cancel out?
You don't have to, but it just makes your numbers much smaller and therefore easier to work with.
But sometimes I need to do it, but you can still use
Yeah. Okay, right. So we usually cancel out first, and then when we multiply numerators with each other, meaning all of those at the top, and then multiply denominators with each other. Please take the ring off. Lift your hands up. 5 seconds ago it was still there. Right. So that 2 over 5x, that's like a mixed number, no? Please tell me what would it look like if I asked you to write that as an improper fraction.
Which one?
The first one, 2 over 5x. That x, where would I put it? At the fraction. Where in the fraction would I put it? At the top or at the bottom? At the top. Okay. So that would be the same as 2x over 5. Yeah, you don't have to, but some kids like, because sometimes you don't see the cancelling out. Okay, this is not.
I don't like canceling out.
Okay, that's also fine. I'll show you what the textbooks also does. That's a different method. Okay, so 2x over 5 times. Now that 3/4 x to the power of 2, that x to the power of 2, I put at the top. So that's why it becomes 3x squared over 4. Okay, now, do you guys see that 2 will go in once and 2 will go in here twice? No, so can you see I cancelled out? Yeah, how do we cancel out? Either up and down or across. No. Okay. So at the top, 1x times 3x squared will become 3x to the power of 3. At the bottom, 5 times 2 will become 10. Now that is actually the same as 3 over 10, x to the power of 3. Yes. Do you want me to do it on the board here? Okay. I'm going to show you 2 different methods for that same equation. Can I skip quickly?
Yes, Wacht, ja, bro, don't.
Done. Okay. I'm quickly going to show you that same one, and if you don't want to write it down, if you don't like this method, you don't have to. Just want to show you what the textbook does. Okay, so we had 2 over 5x times 3/4 x to the power of 2. What they do is they say that's the same as 2 over 5 times 3 over 4 times x times x squared. And then they say this first part, 2 times 3 gives me 6, 5 times 4 gives me 20, and x times x squared, x to the power of 3. And that simplified will give you 3 over 10, x to the power of 3. You could use that method. Okay? Okay, then you use that one. You can use whichever one you're more comfortable with. No? So can you see there? You asked for the one where we don't cancel out. So that's basically the same. We didn't cancel out anything. No? Yeah.
Now, I forgot the name. If let's say the fraction has another number in front of it,
A mixed number.
Oh, yes, ma'am. So if it's a mixed number, you first simplify the mixed number, then divide this.
Yeah. Make the mixed number an improper
And
fraction.
when I
Yes.
say mixed number,
But I know that's what you meant.
big number plus the top one.
Yes. Take the whole number. So let's say it was 3 and 2 over 6. Then I'm going to take 3 times 6. So it gives me 18. And then we plus the top part. So that will be 20 over 6. Okay. You got it? Right. Any other questions here? Okay. So that was multiplication. Now, when we do division, I'm giving you 1 1/4 A divided by a half. Okay. So first step is change that to an improper fraction. So I'm going to say 1 1/4 will be 5 over 4. No?
Yes.
And then the A, we say we put at the top. You guys good with that? Now you will see that that division sign, I changed to a multiplication. And when we do that, it means that what was written after the division sign must switch around. So now that half switches and becomes 2 over 1. You guys good with that? Please remember, when it's still division, I am not allowed to cancel out. You can't cancel out when it's division. That's why our first step is to change it to multiplication, and now I can cancel out. Okay, right. So if I cancel out, 2 will go into itself once, and 2 will go in there twice. So I'm going to have 5A over 2, and then it's actually times 1 over 1. But do we have to write that 1 over 1? No, because that's still just 1. No. Okay, let me hear. Any questions? Yeah. You guys sure? Anyone else? Say again. 2 1/2 A. Yes, yeah. But you could have left it like this as well. Good. Okay, right, people. So, yes. Okay, the first step, because it was division, right? I'm not allowed to cancel out. So when you see division, we always want to change it to multiplication. So I'm going to change that division to multiplication, which means that this half, that must switch around. So now you'll see I've got 2 over 1. No. Okay, and now we can cancel out. Or if you want, you could first multiply, then you would have gotten 5A times 2 will give you 10A over, and then 4 times 1, 4. And then from there you'll see 2 will go in twice, and 2 will go in 5 times. So that's why I have 5A over 2. Okay. Are you okay? Any other questions? Right, people, please do not get confused with which steps do we use when. When it's addition and subtraction, what do we look for? Like terms. Okay. When it's multiplication, you can multiply. Right? If you want, you first cancel out. Right? Right? But it's not going to make a difference. Then you just cancel out at the end.
And so basically, you can't divide the
When it's division, what do we have to do? First, change to multiplication, and then we can multiply or cancel. Okay, right. So your homework, people, is going to be exercise 3.2. That's on page 31. The whole exercise, basically. So number 1 and 2. Okay? You guys can get started on that.